And if Convoke's on the play, and in the hands of Andrew Ellenberger, then I'm going to be a little bit scared.
Yeah, Andrew Ellenbogen, Pro Tour champion, got there playing, aggressive decks, is not someone who is, weak when it comes to these sort of things. So it's definitely someone who also, is going to understand what they need to do in order to win.
Yeah, and as you said, they as turn 2 could end up with something crazy like 10 to 11 power on the battlefield that early, plus refilling their hand because of the Knight of Eos. It's going to be pretty crazy, and it lines up very badly on the other side for Grant. 1-for-1 removal is not ideal against this deck because it can just go so wide. But we'll see what these opening hands look like. Looks like we have got pretty good 6-carders so far, so that the 7 is going to be a keep this round.
It's good because he only drew 5 cards. And Ellenbogen's like, how many cards is this? He was like, this is all I need. I guess I'll draw 2 more.
So here comes the Novice Inspector. This is going to generate a clue token. Clue tokens, great at drawing cards. Not what we want to be doing in this deck, really. We want to be turning that into free freeze. Who is that?
That's Max McVitie's clue token from the Star City Games Invitational, who is our modern seat in this round. So, pulling over, grabbing his bud. He's like, hey, that's him.
A little bit of flex here. Love to see it. Here comes, this is one of the newer inner cards that's seen a little bit of play. Warden of the Inner Skies. Great little 1-drop here. Can tap 3 permanents to get to scry 1 plus put a +1/+1 counter on it. And then once it gets, I think it's 3 +1/+1 counters, it actually gains vigilance as well. But then the real kicker here is, now we're going to turn this into another 3/1/1 Phyrexian Goblins because of Gleeful Demolition. So really off to the races. And now we got, I'm going to turn these tokens into these tokens. My face, your face. This is a flex, and I love it.
Yeah, Andrew Ellenbogen got a vampire token back in the day. Not quite the right color, but, Andrew doing his best goblin impersonation on stream.
While you're on the feature match, you got to use it. And the real extra bit there is we got to tap them all to scry another one and add another counter to that Warden. So how are we going to kind of turn this in? Are we going to be able to give everything +1/+0 in haste because of a recruiter? Or is this just enough for this turn?
I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, Ellenbogen kind of was like, well, my opponent could have Mastermind. They could have a kill spell where they could have No More Lies. Pretty easy to kind of work that calculus and be like, if I do something like Recruiter, am I cool with what my next turn looks like if they just counter that? I'm hitting in this turn for what, 6 damage, a decent amount. Could also just, could play some stuff and just activate the Warden again and push for a little bit more. So we have to see. And we're also seeing why Pest Control is so big out of the board for these decks.
Okay, we're seeing the Vampire hit the battlefield, 1 point of damage being dealt, blood token being made just on the top of your screen there. Again, not bad late game, but in this scenario, again, it's just another target for a Gleeful Demolition. The game goes, the more we might actually have to start cycling through for it. But we're going to tap 3 of them. We're going to put a +1/+1 counter on the Warden. Scry 1 deeper. This means the Warden's now going to have Vigilance as well as being a 4/5 on the 4/5. It is 4/5. Quick math. 4/5 on the battlefield.
Yeah, and this is nice too because sometimes these Esper decks play cards like the Wandering Emperor, which wouldn't come up for a while, but the ability to not have to worry about that card from Ellenbogen gives them a little bit of security along with that sculpting. So,
now, do we go for another scry here? Do we just turn everything sideways? And we're turning everything sideways. So this is going to be 4, 5, 6, 7 points of damage coming across, dropping Grant down to 12. And what we're going to do end of turn here is going to be a Mastermind on the battlefield, just a 2/1 flyer, invitational card. Managed to rip our 3rd land off the top. That's huge. Because I'm pretty sure if we didn't draw that, most of our spells in our hand are just dead going forward.
Yeah, we have this Shoshani's Tidebinder, which is kind of nice because we can use it to stop Imodane's Recruiter or Knight Errant of Eos's trigger. You can also use it on the Warden. If we go to scry again, you could stop that scry and stop the counter from going on and turn it off. But
what do we want to do here? At the minute, currently on the battlefield, we've got 10 power already, plus whatever we do for the turn.
Yeah, we have one of those tokens is the blood token that's underneath the goblin that got convoked off of for the
okay.
Yeah. I also was like, where did the extra creature come from?
Really testing us in the booth here. We appreciate it.
Yeah, one of the
Certainly.
cool things about winning these events, right, is you get tokens. One of the downside is all of our tokens are people. So it's sometimes a little confusing.
So in response to the trigger, no +1/+0 effects are going to happen for the team here. We're going to tap these 3, put another counter on this, scry 1 deeper again. Not had a good look at what it is, but looks like we like it.
I wonder if Andrew's going to tap again, because it doesn't super matter, but like, your Thraben Inspector, if you're going to throw one of the creatures away with an attack to push extra damage, it's a little bigger. So
yeah, we're getting in. We're turning it all sideways. So we got one thing that we can eat up here. Do we want to chump block the Sky Warden, or just take all this damage? Maybe we could trade with one of the other 1-powered creatures just to get it off the battlefield. Interesting, and we're really seeing why this is going to be a hard game 1 here for the Esper mid-range deck. Just 1-for-1 removal, 1-for-1 blocking doesn't line up well at all, and just being able to get big chunks of damage every single time we go to combat for the Boss Convoke deck is exactly how it wants to be playing.
Yep. And yeah, we see Grant here with cards like Urtai, Rafine, another Tidebinder, and Wandering Emperor in hand, but they just don't line up. Like, all these 1/1s are going to chip shot in enough.
They do play a couple of Anthem effects in these decks. Of course, one of the cases, we don't really see cases played too much, has a very plays a little bit like the Saga effects. But Case of the Gateway Express, that's a nice little removal spell that also can pump the team after damage if we do have them. They've moved up to a couple of Get Losts in the decks with these Boss Convoke decks, just be able to get these big pesky creatures off the battlefield, or maybe even what's the 3 mana enchantment sweeper I'm thinking of?
Temporary
lockdowns, things like this, things that can kind of sweep the battlefield early. Being able to have a couple of answers to them moving forward is not a bad way. I've kind of also adapted that, play a couple in my main deck, and it really does come up top trumps when things need to add that extra couple of damage to the battlefield. As we just pass the turn back, leave up. Oh, there it is, straight off the top. That is the case.
Well, I think the case puts a trigger on the stack. I'm not exactly sure how that one works. If it does, we can Tashani's Tidebinder the trigger. Because it enters the battlefield.
When it enters the battlefield, choose target creature you don't control. So
I think the targeting would put a trigger. I'm not positive. I also don't know if it matters. We also have no more lies, so I believe that does, and I believe you can just Tidebinder, and this will let you have another blocker. Now, obviously, we know
it's still lethal, right? Is this lethal?
It's really close if it isn't, because there's 5 in the air for sure, putting us to 4, and there are 5 creatures on the ground, so 3 get across, go to 1.
Yeah, it would be 1. It's that blood token. It's got me twice now.
It's got you twice. But Ellenbogen might have something in hand that he can put an extra counter on. Ellenbogen might also just want to tap all these things and just make his warden bigger.
Well, any one of like the Novice Inspector type effects where it can generate artifacts plus the 1-drop, that would be the extra counter needed. So just I think doing a little bit of math, which probably tells me that that's not a 1-drop left in hand. Are we just going sure? Turn everything sideways? I don't hate it.
I think I like the turn everything sideways, because you get the trade. I mean, probably because like otherwise I believe the knight. If you let the knight and the other things go through, you die. So the knight has to trade. You get to eat the 1/1, and then Ellenbogen's putting Grant dead to everything, including a Voldaren Epicure off the top. We're convoking a Knight Errant, I think. Oh no, never mind. We're attacking. Sorry. Okay, Ellenbogen turned it sideways, and so I thought he was convoking. I was like, oh, what? That's a crazy line.
No, okay. It looks like we're going to go into 1. Then we've got to try and work out. We need kill spells plus life gain plus blockers, putting them in a really, really hard situation moving forward here. 1 life for Grant by the end of this combat step. We do see the Warden in hand, as you said, but that's only going to be able to gain us 2 life and not get the biggest threat off the battlefield because it's now got Vigilance. And everything's now got +1/+0 from the Hun. Is that how it works? The case has got 1 on it, 1 dice. It should be 3, right?
It's at the end of turn. So at the end of the turn, the case is solved because 3 creatures attack. So now the case is solved, and it's +1/+0 to everybody. I think Ellenbogen's just putting a dice on it to say, hey, my case is solved.
Okay, that makes more sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me, logically, I'd put a 3 on the dice just so I know, but it is what it is. It all represents, as long as the board state is correct. But yeah, having that Anthem effect is going to really help. But it doesn't matter too much right now, as any creature is lethal with just 1 power.
Yeah, I was gonna say great play here from Ellenbogen. Every point matters. We actually have an Urtai in hand, so like if we were at maybe even one, like two more life, for example, we could Urtai down the flyer, double block, and then maybe stabilize. But in this situation, we're just dead to everything. I think Grant's figuring that out there. Grant's team actually we were hearing before, and it's actually their collegiate Magic team that came out to play. So pretty cool to see them here in our event.
If you look at the other matchups, it looks like both Gruul decks are able to take down game number 1. Of course, in a team event, 2 of the 3 players need to win. Land off the top means that we can channel this, make 2/1/1 haste spirits, and that is going to be enough to scoop it up here. Grant going to be going a game down with Andrew going a game up. So it looks like we can move to our middle match, which is modern. So let's have a little go across to that, where we're going to have Jun Creativity versus the Gruul Prowess deck. You know, Slick Shot is kind of the hot topic at the minute. This card makes a lot of explosive draws from this deck, able to go under quite a few of them. And was able to take down game number 1. Would you expect that this is kind of how it normally lines up versus Jun's Creativity?
Yeah, I think, it depends on like the build and everything. Like we saw earlier today in our finals, we had a lot to pick your presence. That stuff I imagine helps, just like giving you an answer to the Slick Shot show off. But typically, I think these faster, prowessy decks are pretty favored as long as they can stick something on the board in early turns. We actually saw Max McVitie make a pretty deep run yesterday. I believe finished X and 3 in our 9-round tournament with this Gruul Prowess deck. So definitely, showing his prowess playing it, and as someone who's known for playing these aggro decks incredibly well, not somebody you want to get paired against.
So there's a couple of different builds that you see floating around. You see this green version here, which is a lot like what Mengucci has been playing quite a bit, and I think got second place in one of the challenges with. Plays Timer Growth, plays the green effects, plays things like Mutagenic Growth and the Questing Druid. Where then you've also got the red-blue version that everyone kind of started with Iteration and Preordains. Is there a reason why more players are going towards the green version? Is it more explosive?
Yeah, you get also a couple more threats. Like you get the questing druids, which you can then like play and they generate cards. They're not as strong on by themselves as cards like Expressive Iteration, right? Like the one mode of draw 2 off that is worse than EI normally. But getting that body matters a ton, lets you just have that resiliency through removal. So I think that's what a lot of it is. Also, the weakness to Bowmaster can sometimes come up, even though Bowmaster is sort of at an all-time low right now in Modern.
So I'm always intrigued by this, like especially like when I say modern, it rewards you for knowing the format. Fail pushing there and at sorcery speed in our own turn. Why are we doing that? Are we scared potentially there's some blue in here? Maybe some spell pierce shenanigans could happen, or some sort of protection threat. Is there any upside to downside? Could we wait for them to spend a bunch of spells into that Slick Shot and then kill it? Is the juice worth the squeeze? Is what I'm probably asking.
Yeah, so I mean, it really depends on like kind of the builds. There have been Teamer Prowess builds running around, so Johnny maybe doesn't want to risk it, right? He's like, hey, I feel really good if I just Fatal Push this now, and maybe you're playing Spell Pierce out of the board or something, right? And that's just a way for me to lose a card you'd very easily bring in, and I need to get this tap land right now, right? Like that could be what Johnny's going about. There could also be protection spells. I don't think this build of the Teamer Prowess deck was playing any protection spells, but it's very easy to imagine that happening.
Having to put Creativity into the graveyard, really looking for a 4th land drop that is a mountain, but instead we're going to play the Fable, the Mirror Breaker with a Passaggio as our 4th land drop. Here comes a Goblin Shaman token, which famously is worth more than the Timer Growth these days.
Yeah.
And here comes Questing Druid, end of turn. That's going to go on a little adventure. Top 2 cards are going to go into exile, and we've got to the end of our next turn to be able to cast them. Those 2 cards are land plus
Abundant Harvest.
Thank you. Harvest. That's what it was.
M8 and All-Star turned into a Strixhaven secret spell.
Draw for the turn is going to be an Unholy Heat. So we've got an answer to the Goblin Shaman token on the other side, which of course will generate extra tokens, which is very good for Creativity because that means they get multiple targets if they ever do cast a Creativity in this game. We're going to play the Scalding Tarn as our land for the turn. Do we want to use the green mana to basically? I imagine it's going to say non-land spell if and when we cast it.
Yeah, I can't imagine winning a land here, but Max McVitie might have a lot of expensive cards in hand.
I feel like Lava Dart's quite good in this matchup when your opponent wants to be targeting 1/1 dwarf tokens and you're just like, oh yeah, it's Lava Dart. I'll just play it back from a graveyard, Lava Dart.
Yeah, I feel like Lavatar. I mean, you're 100% right. It's also just a card that I think quietly overperforms in this deck if you're someone who doesn't play it a lot or play against this deck, right? Like it seems like it wouldn't be that big a deal, but it's pretty huge. Um,
I think the standard is just starting again. So, like, while this was kind of setting up, let's move back to that one, and maybe we can just keep updated on what's happening in this. As remember, the Boris Convoke deck is one game up and starting off already with Novice Inspector. After board, does it tend to does it get a lot better for the Esper mid range decks after board?
Yeah, the Esper midrange post board has cards like we're talking about, like pest control, that go a long way in just stabilizing. Like we saw in that last game, even if Grant had drawn the pest control like a turn before the end there, it would have stabilized the game. Like these 1/1s and tokens, I'm sorry, these 1 mana creams and tokens are needed to be on the board for a very long time. Obviously, Ellen Bogan here, holding up resolute reinforcements, not playing into any sort of flash creatures, and Grant, sort of just passing there, holding up the No More Lies, trying his best to make things awkward for Ellen Bogan.
And this is quite awkward, right? Like, yes, I could have done this. Do I normalize this because I've got the target, but then potentially one of the powerful turn 3 plays can happen next turn? Do I let this happen? Do I not? It looks like we're letting it happen. So an extra 2 power added to the battlefield. I think we're asking, does anybody in our team have a token of themselves that is a 1/1 human that we can use on the coverage?
Yeah.
And okay, I think that's Warden drawn for the turn.
Yeah, and it looks like Andrew also has a resolute reinforcement. So we might see it's just Andrew might just attack, right? Get his 3 points in, then play his land, maybe play something like an Expector or a Voldaren Epicure. If Grant wants to, counter that, he can. And if not, he's just going to wait for the resolute reinforcements again and play the Warden on a later turn. Because right now, Ellen Bogan knows, like, okay, there's something up.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like he's down to maybe trade for a No More Lies. Okay, and Grant, incredibly patient. I respect this patience here. He's going to let it resolve. We're going to activate, and we're going to Tashani's Tidebinder that trigger. It's going to also turn off the Warden.
So no scry effects will end up happening. And we can play this bit of a longer game, right? Like things like pest control, etc., can really change the dynamic of this game. We just need to drag the game out as long as we possibly can, keep our life total as high as we can, so we can start drawing some of these powerful spells moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
1 point damage here, plus blood token added to the battlefield. We've got 1 more mana floating. We could add to the battle. I think it's just double. Oh, double maybe it's 1 lands plus the flash spell in hand, the reinforcements.
Mm-hmm.
So back to Grant. Another land off the top. Lots of No More Lies in hand.
Yeah. Also, notably, all the lands are tap lands, so we can't get Dinnick plus play this No More Lies. Have the No More Lies up, which should be a very powerful turn for Grant. If we could, really lock up the battlefield and have a counter spell, we would be feeling very, very good. Otherwise, we kind of feel just fine right now.
Is everyone getting a little bit greedy in standard these days? Is everyone relying on these fast lands and kind of not playing any more untapped lands after turn 4? Is this kind of a way standard is moving towards, would you say?
I think it really depends on the build of Esper, but some people are, and some people are playing a lot of lands that don't enter untapped in the first turn. So like we're seeing it go kind of both ways, right? Some players really over-indexing on the fast lands, some really over-indexing on the slow lands. It's a very hard mana base to sort of figure out, and sometimes it also just curves out perfectly. You don't have to worry about anything. So we do see a Knight Errant of Eos.
Yeah, with 3 mana up though, using the full Convoke, playing around this No More Lies, which looks like we're going to fire off anyway. And this just means we're not taking any damage this turn. No More Lies. I imagine we're paying the 3.
God, it'd be so funny if Ellen Bogan didn't, though.
Pay the 3. Now we get to look at the top 6 cards, put 2 creatures into our hand, CMC 5 or less.
I think we're about to whiff. Okay, I think we hit an Immodance at the end. Oh, there was a Voldaren in there. Okay. All right.
I whiff a lot, to be fair. When I cast that card, I've whiffed more times than I'd want to with this deck, considering the high creature count that tends to be in it, around 28 to 30 sort of creatures, depending on the builds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense too, right? Because like, especially post board, you're gonna trim a couple creatures, and then to get it on the battlefield, you need to have a couple creatures plus itself, right? So often you're kind of firing off at like 24, 23 creatures in deck. which is a little late. Little late.
It's the old collective company sketch, isn't it? You know, I mean, like you don't want to board out on too many creatures. You have to have so many creatures to reliably always hit 2 creatures when you cast a spell. But now we've got 4 mana. Now we can start double spelling over on the left of our screen on Grant. How first, I imagine we're going to deploy another tapped land, which is going to there you go. It's going to enter the battlefield. No surveil lands in these standard decks. Just too slow for the format.
Yeah, a tad too slow. Decks like this convoke one. Really big problem. Also, Esper is typically like a 2/3/4 deck. Like you kind of want to be in a like play a 2-drop, play a powerful 3-drop like Rafine, and then double spell would play a powerful 4. You know, or maybe play something like tap land plus wedding announcement. So the deck wants to curve, so it doesn't really have time. And even decks like the Teamer Analyst deck don't really need that land to fill the graveyard up with lands because they have all the Capenna lands.
Yeah, so get lost off the top of the deck here for Andrew. It does have a land drop for the turn if they want, and that means that it can cast it with the 3 mana to play for any more No More Lies that could happen. There's the planes. Oh, mix matching planes. What are your thoughts on this?
Art's great. Would have a wide variety. I want to know: do these planes mean something to Andrew, or are they draft box? You know, that's another part of the question. Because if these are like, oh, this is the land I won the Pro Tour with, right? Then like those planes, you know, maybe mean a little bit. Maybe he got those at the draft box of the PT, and suddenly I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I like that case. The backstory matters quite a bit on it, is what we're saying. I like it. And
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Andrew has been playing for a long time, as you said, and also has a nice trophy cabinet. 18 life, 9, 10 power on the battlefield, 9 power on the battlefield. How can we turn this into W? We're in the tank. Still got quite at least 2 or 3 cards in hand. 4 cards in hand, in fact. About to go down to 3 as we fire off. He's going to be the Get Lost by the looks of it. Start with the Get Lost.
I like to get the Dinnick off the battlefield. That lifelink 2/3 was pretty troublesome. You know, you don't unlock your Warden yet still, but it's fine. Also worth noting, Max McVitie did lose that game against Jund Creativity.
I was about to say the other tables have kind of shored it up here, as it's going to go to a one apiece in our Pioneer and Modern seats. We're going to turn everything sideways here. We're going to get in a bunch of damage. You can take out any of these 1-powered creatures if you want, and take the other 8. 3 mana left up on the other side for Andrew, so could end up trying to play another spell after combat if we want to go that route. And is there any preference to what we block here? They all kind of do the same, right? Just one's got 1 extra toughness, I guess.
Yeah, you want to kill the Warden so that if the Tidebinder dies, they don't unlock the Warden, you know? Just in case.
Just in case. And I pass the turn here. Big draw step. Just another land, but again, it's one of the channel ones that does double up as a removal spell. Leaving Triumph in hand by the looks of it, because that can be cycled for a land for another card if we don't end up using all our mana.
Yeah, it looks like Grant was thinking about like if he wants to play the land out, and Elbogan's like, what's up with the what's up? What are we doing?
We are playing it.
Yeah.
Untapped. 6 mana for the turn. How are we going to use it? How are we going to pull up this game and level it up like the rest of our teammates on this team event that we're bringing you here at the NRG? Round number 2 of 7 today. And then we've got to cut to top 8. So that's 10 rounds of Magic for you today. Well, technically 11, because we also crowned our champion, May French, taking down the Modern that we had this morning. That, again, was all day yesterday battling out. But in the end, we've got ourselves a champion on Living End.
Yeah.
1 mana.
Speaking of Living the End, I'm surprised we didn't, from the graveyard, bring back the Dinnick this turn. I kind of thought that's what Grant was setting up was, you know, do I want to bring this back and have No More Lies or play my tap land potentially, you know, and then have Iganjo plus Lies. But looks like we're trying to grow the Tidebinder, which does make sense. Like being able to block the Knight Errant will help clean the battlefield up, especially if your deck has like 2 or 3 pest control or something like that. You're just taking a look for it. So
right now we would have 1 removal spell plus Carrot Magic up.
Yep.
So we can kill 1, chump 1, Well, yeah, we're not in a bad spot. We do need to, start drawing some of our bigger spells in the deck. This 1-for-1 strategy is not going to work out too well, especially as end of turn. We're going to see the reinforcements. I don't mind firing it off on this. Like,
yeah,
while the
Andrew has
mana's
shown
tapped
that
out.
he's so patient. Yeah, I agree with you. He's just too good. That's the problem. Maybe somebody else, they would play into it. He's clearly shown, like, I'm not going to play into your no more lies. Just, you've got to get the value when you can.
I hate it when I sit across from people and they're just too good. It's like, I'm already at a disadvantage. The mind games have started and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a little look. How are we going to go forward here? If we've got another land drop, that turns on all the free drops in our hand as well, which I think we've just drawn one of the recruiters for the turn. Of course, if that does ETB, we can get a +1 to all creatures and give them haste. That might be enough to just finish off this game. What's the other red card in hand? Could be a barrage.
Garage. Yeah.
Yeah. So a barrage that deals 1 point damage to target creature or planeswalker. It deals 5 if that target is a white or blue creature, and it is uncountable.
Yeah, there can't be counterparts. Pretty big, even if you could. Interesting.
So that's going to get a blocker off the battlefield. That's a bunch of damage coming across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 damage. 10 lethal this turn if there's no interaction from Grant. We know that we've got at least one way of getting something off the battlefield.
Yep.
Are we playing into a no more lies? Do we have time to kind of sit and wait? I think I would sit and wait on this. I don't think I need to commit anymore to the battlefield. This is enough. It's definitely making them have it. And playing these Boris Convokes deck, it is a deck that makes your opponent have the answers. But what do I know? Andrew's going to go for it.
Yeah, because it really depends, right? Like, if Grant's answer is a Urtai, it's awful for Ellenbogen to go there, right? Because then we get the buy on the board. And also, maybe not the end of the world, because maybe you think Urtai is going to kill the Night Aaron. That might be where Ellenbogen's at. And Ellenbogen knows there is some answer. So getting him to tap out maybe could have caused some issues for Grant. Also, if your hand is just like another Emadanes, you might as well, right? So I think Ellenbogen was just doing the math there and was like, yeah, I think it's worth it to kind of be like, I beat this subset of cards, and against this other subset, I'm heavily advantaged. So who cares? Yeah.
It's super win or just about get there. 6 point damage is going to what's happening at the end of this. Grant dropping to 4, and then it's going to have to be a big top deck. Can I have a redraw with one of the tri-lands that can get cycled, and also that map token at the top. So we can have a little look. Let's see how we want to go for it. I think we're still in Andrew's turn. So that card in hand, maybe he's thinking, do I want to deploy this? Maybe I want to cycle because that's it's a clue token that costs 2 mana. Yeah, we're into the battlefield. No point damage to your face. Blood token added. You're at 3. Do your worst. Have you got it? Can you rip it? Pass control is what we're looking for. That's just a go for the throat. That's not ideal.
It's like a pest control, and the fact that it kills something. Unlike a pest control, not really what you're wanting.
Yeah, we're cycling free here. I'm cycling, pitting the 2 mana aside and flipping it. I'm showing everybody. I'm going for it. Like it's pest control or bust at this spot. We believe. Cycle, draw. Oh, it was a gold card. It's not. Yeah. Does that change anything? Lifelink. We can go up to 5.
The map token. I think it matters what the map hits.
So block, gain 6 up to 9, take 6. This is still lethal, I believe.
Yeah,
definitely lethal. Now we haven't caught a break there with being able to put a counter on it. Yeah,
I think you're right. It was still exactly lethal. But great play there from Andrew Ellenbogen. He's going to be able to attack in here for lethal. He's going to pop his clue. We can find the other matches to go to. I believe in Andrew's ability to turn everything sideways here. You can see he's basically just being like, am I missing something? Draw my card, might as well.
Yeah, no 0 mana spells in this one. Okay, let's have a little look, see if we can go across to the Pioneer one. Okay.
Yeah, let's get Greg. Other half of the System Magic stream up on stream. Had a great run of the Pro Tour last 2 weekends ago now.
That's sick. Good to see. So we got Gruul Aggro on the left versus Rakdos Vampires. So Rakdos Vampires kind of made a big showing at the Pro Tour. Seth Manfield taking it down with that. The red black decks have kind of mid ranges moved to this version because you do have the nice little combo of being able to get a big vampires into play pretty quick as early as turn number 3. But on the other side, Gruul Aggro using Slick Shot to its huge advantage. We're seeing this a lot in Modern. In Pioneer, is it just as good?
I think it's quite a reasonable deck. Basically, we haven't seen many decks like this outside of kind of Boros Heroic. Basically, the idea is you get on board and then you kind of protect them and push pump spells. We see players do multiple different things. Questing Druid is the most common, but some players have been experimenting with like as being the only green card, excuse me. Maybe not Tarkus Command. Some players have gone more in on pump spells. You'll typically see a couple like Blossoming Defense, but this build's looking to use Wizard's Lightning in addition as a way to sort of push damage. So the Preacher's going to trade with that Swift Spear. And yeah, I think the deck is good. I think it is not my favorite deck, but Vein Ripper is not my favorite card if you're a Greg fan.
No, I'd say Vein Ripper is not the card you want to see on the other side. There goes a bit of removal, getting another Swift Spear into the graveyard. And we're getting in there, Mutavault. Why not? Get in there. We're not scared of your haste creatures.
Yeah, it's also a small Greg left up Mutavault, which I kind of like. Like you're at such a high life total that if your opponent just kind of throws their their burn spells at you, it's not the end of the world, and you don't want them to be thinking about something like Fatal Push.
Just using Path to Peril as a 1-for-1 removal spell there. Gigantic going to hand. Okay, we got a bit of reprieve. Land for the turn. That's obviously going to enter tapped. Do we want to get in there for 4? Yeah, I love it. I love it. Let's do it.
That play is so smart. Your opponent, like maybe they have a Swift Spear, maybe, but you've killed so many, there can only be one left, and they just added Giganta to hand. They missed their land drop. You have a Vein Ripper in hand. Just get them close to dead. Win the game. As Slickshot Show Off is going to get cast.
In with a monstrous rage as well. So that's going to be +5 to this. That's a 6-point damage swing. Gee, that's it's going to be pretty scary.
That is, very Infect-esque. Which honestly, the other build, we're talking about how some builds play burn, some people play pump spells. This deck reminds me of the Infect deck, Will, where it's just like, Blossoming Defense and like the ability to push a ton of damage. And you sort of just sit there and kind of poke people sometimes, The Wizard Lightning that should be more aggressive. Oh, Will, we drew Sorin.
I was about to say we just drew Sorin off the top, which means we can get this Vein Ripper in. But I think I think that's a Pick Your Poison in hand for Richard as well. So that's a nice clean answer.
Well, I think that's what Greg's talking about. I think Greg's saying, hey, I can just put in Vein Ripper, or I can animate my Mutavault and throw it at this Slick Shot Show Off. And I think I want to do that because that will, gain me 3 life, answer that creature. And you see he's talking to his friends. Greg wearing the System Magic shirt. He and Ellenbogen stream just about every day playing competitive Magic at the highest level. And so, we hear them talking about it. So they're used to working together. Yeah, we're going to animate, love it. Get to 2 and then throw. Bam.
That is a big brain play right there, because there's a spell in the hand. They haven't cast it. It's been sat in the hand for a little while. What could it be? Pick Your Poison. They've got the read on it and absolutely use that to advantage. Crazy good play there. As just a stomping ground off the top and a pass for Richard. That might be the play of the weekend that I've seen so far. Getting that read, that was so cool.
Earlier we talked about, right? Like, we don't talk to our teammates too much because they aren't there the whole time. But Greg was able to mention, right, and convey to his teammates and his friends, because they play together so much, like, hey, they haven't done anything. Oh, it's Sorin into second Vein Ripper, I think. We have another card in hand, and we drew Vein Ripper. That is very good.
That's your expert opinion. This is very good. 2 Vein Rippers.
Greg's laughing too. It's
12 power on the battlefield that both have wards. Sacrifice a creature. Remember, when a creature dies, target opponent loses 2 life. You also gain 2 life. That is, yeah, I'm scooping it up. That was just too much there. So we're going to see the team of Greg, Max, and Andrew taking this down, because it is a team event. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, so only 2 of the 3 need to win. I'm going to ask the producer, are we going to go to the third game? Are they playing out for funsies, or are we going to kind of come back to the booth? It looks like they're playing out for a little. Maybe I think they're just doing the talk for it. I still got all these. I've still got all these. Who would have won? Try and get that little bit of clout where you can. So we're just going to come back to the booth while the players talk through it, and we're going to say welcome to everybody that's currently watching us. We appreciate you being here on this Sunday. I'm Will Hall. That there is Mason Clark. This is round number 2 of 7 today before we cut to that top 8, where we're going to be bringing you standard, pioneer, and modern all day long. So if you haven't yet, go get yourself a drink, sit down, get ready, because we've got a lot of just action for you. Maybe we can have a look what everyone's playing for today, producer. Maybe we can get the prizes up for today on the screen for everybody at home. Also, I know what the first prize is going to be. The first prize is you also get the end of year invite. So talk me through the points and how they work, and then the prize money, Nathan.
Yeah, so first place is going to be $3,000 and 30 points. Our points is for the leaderboard. There's a player of the year race, but also there's 3 trophies. The trophy is not just because you're getting a trophy, you also get an invite to our end of the year championship, which we saw May French punch her ticket for earlier today. Andrew Ellenbogen's played that tournament in the past about 2 years ago, where he qualified via our leaderboard. And you're playing for over $20,000 in prizes, and it's a PTQ 16-person winner goes straight to the Pro Tour. It's a very exciting moment. So the points matter if you're trying to grind the leaderboard, because our player of the year does get free entry into all the events next year along with some other swag. So very exciting for that. We're going to see our players do that, but still a lot of other points on the line too. If you get second, 25, third and fourth, 20, those points matter a ton. If you're someone who's trying to make one of our at-large bids, which is basically 3 players from each season will be added to our end of the year championship just to perform the best, but didn't already have an invite. So getting 25, 20 points, something like that, matters a ton. And this is our second to last event of season 1, Will. So it matters a lot to score these points now.
Well, maybe we can let's have a little look at going into this weekend, what the points race look like, what the leaderboard kind of does, because obviously this is a really cool style of how to qualify for end of year tournaments. Obviously, we've got some big names on this leaderboard already, racking up some big points. Who's kind of standing out to you so far?
Yeah, so there's a lot of really strong players on this leaderboard. Connor Mullally was our player of the year in 2022, the year Andrew Ellenbogen actually played our championship. He is in a good position here with 40 points. I think he had an okay day yesterday, nothing to write home about. Got a couple points. That's what you need to do if you're going to make it at the end of the year. Max Kamenowski, better known as Twinless Twin on Twitter, one of the minds when it comes to Murktide, doing great here as well. Tim Hatch, we have seen play so great and losing the final of 2 of our events. He is going to continue doing that type play. Roger Suleiman won our championship the year Connor was our player of the year. He last year, despite already getting an invite, because if you win, you're invited back, right? He played enough of our events and just had a finish that would have been good enough, like on points. He basically earned 2 invites. So Roger couldn't make it this weekend, have some stuff going on. And if you're someone on the leaderboards, you're so excited because Roger Suleiman is one of the people you have to look out for. Benjamin Ungar, another player we saw last year in our Players Championship, did not make it there. Cliff Boyardee had a good run. Zoe, someone we saw once again 2 years ago. A lot of people from 2 years ago, they kind of had a bad year last year. Our 2022 class didn't super perform. I'll just say it like it is. But they are back and on the board here. And then we see May French, who his name's going to be in orange after today. She locked up 30 points and her invite. So she could make a run for Player of the Year. But Dom Harvey's already said, Player of the Year's a lock for me. I'm not even going to play this weekend. I've got it. Don't worry about it.
Well, you spoke about the players that are locked. Maybe we can have see the 4 players that are locked. Obviously, there is 5, but I doubt that it's been updated, this graphic yet. So talk me through these 4 players and then also add Mays to this for me, please.
Yeah, so Steven Dykeman, he was our player champion from last year and our player of the year. Kind of got the double header, won back-to-back tournaments in the first weekend of last year and never stopped. Matthew Hoey, if you've been watching the NRG series, just a mainstay. I think he's played every player championship but the one in 2022, if I remember correctly. Just a beast. If you've ever played Midwest Magic, you know Matthew Hoey. He's very, very solid. Sean Gallagher, someone we saw a lot of our events last year, had a great start to this year. Even got a win, has another top 8. He's just been grinding, loves playing control decks, and it's just doing his thing. Dom Harvey. If you've been following Magic, you know Dom Harvey. He also does commentary with us here in the booth. Was dominant on the SCG series right before the pandemic. Has got a Pro Tour top 8 at Lord of the Rings. In fact, even a top 4. Let's call it like it is. And has just been sort of doing his thing. Won back-to-back tournaments last weekend and is making a Player of the Year run, along with May French. Won the Secret Lair Showdown. Has been doing really great on Magic Online and has been really sort of pushing to improve at Magic. And it's been great to see her do that as well. This is just a small sampling. 3 more players are going to join today, whoever wins our tournament. 3 more players at large, and we're going to have some more tournaments with some more people joining. It is going to be intense Magic. One of the great things about the NRG champs is basically you have to have proven yourself at these very hard tournaments consistently in order to seriously make it. Maybe you spike it, right? But for the most part, even if you spike one, it's really hard to spike a tournament. So these players are going to be the best of the best, and we're going to have that tournament for you at the beginning of next year. I'm very excited to see it.
Because you've done such a good job hyping this up. Obviously, everyone at home is going in, where are the next events going to be? How can I be part of this NRG series? Well, lucky for you, we've got a slide for that as well, showing all the events we've got coming up this season. As you said, is coming to a close. We've only got like one more of that, but then the season 2 is going to be kicking in to get yourself on to that leaderboard. If you want to see your picture on the screen for all the NRG events, well, you need to start turning up to some of these events here. Talk me through them, Mason.
Yeah, so the next one is going to be in July 13th and 14th in Chicagoland, Illinois. I feel like there's actually one before that, if I'm not mistaken. Get that taken care of in June. But these are some of the other ones coming up. Yeah, I was going to say St. Louis, June 22nd, 23rd. That is going to be the Modern 10K Showdown. Showdown, basically, if you're at home, that means you win an invite to end of the year championship. That's just a straight invite, a trial. Still, a 5K on Pioneer the next day. Lots of points that can be earned that do count, but winning does not give you that direct ticket. All of our showdowns give you a direct ticket. Will, this is worth noting. I cannot wait to commentate this event. This is the first big tournament after Modern Horizons 3 will be released. It's going to be out for 2 weeks at the time of this. I worked on that set. You got to get me in the booth, Norm. You got to get me in. I got to be there for that one. I'm not working Sunday. I'm working Saturday. I cannot wait. You have to be there. Click that follow button so you don't miss it. But we do have 4 more events rounding out the rest of our year. We'll pull those up now. Season 2. Yep. So after St. Louis, our top 3 players in the leaderboard are going to make it. Here, Chicagoland, Illinois, July 13th and 14th. We're going to have a Saturday Showdown Modern. Make it, you're in. Sunday, Legacy players, we got you. Come out to Chicago. We have a 5K trial. We love Legacy here. That's one of our events. You're going to come and do that. After that, we're in August. We're in Madison, Wisconsin with a Showdown and Modern once again. And then Sunday, 10K Showdown Team Trios to be determined. Who knows what that could mean? I can tell you what, though. I hope we see some Modern and Standard because those formats are on fire recently. September 14th and 15th, we're in Louisville, Kentucky. We have a 10K Showdown in Modern and a 5K Trial Standard. Well, I might need you to cover for me. I might be going to that one. It's about 2 hours from me, so I'm pretty excited. And then November 2nd and 3rd, we have Indianapolis, Illinois. We have a 10K Modern Showdown on Saturday and Sunday, another Showdown 5K Pioneer. So that Indianapolis is our last event of the year and a double Showdown weekend. That is going to be a can't-miss event, whether you're playing or watching. So many people are going to be tight in the leaderboard race and qualifying themselves.
Now, we might need your help. Me and Julian were talking yesterday. That Madison in August, we might be flying across to that. We need a third for that team. You know what I mean? We need someone to carry us, get us those invites, Mason. And if you're in, we're game. We're down to have you. Because
we need to be Legacy so Julian can really be in his prime. We got to put the fix in.
We've got to utilize his strength there moving forward. And one thing I like from the outside, obviously, I'm in the UK, we're in Europe. I get to look at these events. I get to see all the tweets from these events. That end of year event where they also give like the plaque and the display of like the key cards that players use throughout the year. And then you get the name badge and you get the jacket. It's so cool to see that and see that you get those awesome jackets coming through. It's awkward. It's the bird. It's okay. We're getting lashed up, but it is pretty sick to see. And we're going to send, as you said, 3 more players today in this team event are going to be at that end of year championship. So this is going to be the end of round number 2. We're going to go away, have a little break, come back for round number 3. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you shortly.